I'm Colette. I'm 33 years old. I just want to start by saying that I would not be sitting here telling you my testimony if it wasn't for the goodness of God in my life. So I was adopted as an infant. When I was 25, my birth mom told me that my birth dad was abusive to her while she was pregnant with me. He would push her down the stairs, kick her off the bed, kick her stomach, basically any attempt to make sure that I wouldn't live through the pregnancy. But here I am because God's good. I was adopted into a Christian family. My dad's a retired music pastor and addictions pastor, so I'm a PK. I grew up suburbs of Philly, and then when I was 12, we moved to Wisconsin. And that's kind of where life fell apart for the family. My mom started suffering with suicidal depression. So my dad's trying to take care of my mom. My sister, who's 3 years older, is trying to take care of me. And I'm just a really angry preteen. That was also the time that I discovered how to talk to guys online through Facebook and MySpace. To give a little bit of context, when I was younger, there were some things that happened in my life and sexual desires were awakened in me when I was a very young kid. So when I was 12 and I was talking to the guys, it was really inappropriate conversations. When I was 14, I was at summer camp and the pastor was speaking on heaven and hell that Wednesday. And it was like the first time that I was like terrified of burning in hell and having nobody around me. I didn't make a decision then, but that weekend we were at my church and my pastor spoke on the exact same thing. Same feelings came back. I just felt terrified and I didn't want to be alone burning in this place for the rest of my life. And so that afternoon, my dad spoke with me on salvation on the back porch and I accepted the Lord into my heart and became daughter of the King. I would love to tell you that that was like the moment where I started fully surrendering to the Lord and gave everything to him. That's not my story. So when I was 20, which 14 to 20, there's a lot of years in there, I was not living for the Lord. I was living for myself. Romans 12:2, the first part of it says, don't be conformed to the patterns of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I wasn't renewing my mind. I was singing in church. I was helping with VBS. I was in the orchestra. I was doing all the things you do at church, but I was talking really inappropriately to a bunch of different guys. So I'm 20 and I'm hanging out with this guy. It's super innocent and we're drinking Monster, playing video games at his apartment, and we start making out, starts becoming our thing. And I told him, like, I don't want to have sex before marriage. Like, that's just not something that I want to do. I want to keep that holy. He didn't care. So August of 2013, I was raped and I was also blackmailed by him. Basically, he told me that if I didn't continue having sex with him, that he would tell my church and my dad would lose his job. And I believed him. So for about 3 months, I was continually raped. And I was finally able to tell him, like, I'm not doing this anymore. So tell whoever you want, but I'm out. He never told anyone. And I didn't tell anyone for a whole year because I genuinely believed that if my dad or my pastor found out that I wasn't a virgin, dad would lose his job. And I didn't want that to happen. So I came up with this brilliant idea because I wasn't renewing my mind. So I wasn't living for the Lord, that in order to not have nightmares about getting raped, that I had to continue having sex with a bunch of people because that would erase that. So for the next 5 years of my life, I was emotionally, mentally, physically abused in a lot of different ways by a lot of different men. And when I was 25, there was this lady that started texting me Bible verses and it drove me nuts. And I was like, if I go to coffee with you, will you stop texting me Bible verses? And she was like, no, but let's go to coffee. So I got coffee with her. And it was the first time that I heard somebody else in the church had gone through what I had just gone through. I didn't think that was a thing. I genuinely thought I was the only one in church that had that happen. And so we started doing the book Found in Him by Elise Fitzpatrick. And this talks about just how God comes down to earth as a man and he humbles himself and he takes on all the emotions that humans feel. He dies for us. He dies for me. And it was the first time that I was like, so the whole time God was with me. God was feeling everything that I was feeling. And yet he still loves me. And yet he still wanted me. And yet he still cares for me. And it was that start of that process of healing for me. At 25, I got my first boyfriend, which I was super excited about. He claimed to love the Lord. He was meeting my family. I was meeting his family. And then I became his girlfriend. And that's when the yelling started. So I was yelled at pretty much every time we were together. He would punch my dashboard of my car. He would slam doors in my face. And it became physical. And that's when I ended the relationship. And nobody knew what was going on in that relationship. When I finally ended it, finally told all my friends and family what I'd been going through, my one friend was like, why in the world would you stay in that relationship? My response, I don't deserve anything better. Look at what I did for 5 years of my life. Why would I deserve a man who treated me with respect, who loves God and actually pursues the Lord and treats me the way that the Lord intended? I don't deserve that. So that started another journey for me. I moved here to Virginia 5 years ago. And that's part of the reason why I moved, was to heal. And the healing has been great. The Lord has shown me so much. Big things that I've learned. Sex does not equal love. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And it is not God's intent for me to be treated the way that I was treated. But God can use that for his glory. And he has used that for his glory in my life. For me, if you are listening to my story, the biggest thing I want you to understand is that when you fully surrender everything to the Lord, there is this joy and this peace that is unexplainable, but so awesome that the Lord will give you. And you don't have to fight for yourself anymore. You don't have to try and protect yourself anymore. If you're a girl and you've been through stuff that I've been through, you're not in it alone, and you don't have to fight it alone. God fights it for you. And that's like the biggest thing, is that freedom that comes with full surrender, where you don't feel like you are under the enemy anymore. You're under God and under his protection and under his joy and under his peace.